she's waiting. She's in the zoomies waiting, and yeah, we're gonna play a little bit of a game after that as well. So without further ado, let's sort our stuff out and go. There we go, Penina.
Hello.
What's up? How you been?
Yeah, not bad. Just been travelling a little bit in this hot weather, but not bad.
I know. So where are you at the moment? You're in Melbourne?
Currently in Townsville. Just got back from Mackay.
Look at you. Like growing up out of West Auckland, you would have been in West Auckland, or you just played for West Auckland?
I played for West Auckland.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I didn't correct you.
You bloody fraud. You fraud. You fraud. But no, yeah. And then and look at you now. You're traveling around the world. I think you've been to every single country ever. Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too. I'm pretty sure.
Have you been to India?
Yep.
Bro, that place is sad, eh? Straight up.
I only saw the hotel, so I'm not going to speak much on it.
Bro, okay. I've already told my India story on my podcast, so I don't want to bore my thing, but it is a crazy place.
Yeah. The driving.
Bro,
the driving is, yeah.
I saw this dude, and he had like all of these cabbages on this little tiny bike, and then on top of it, he had like eggs stacked. And then there was a little kid standing on the back of the motorbike, holding the eggs that it had full of. Bro, I was like, far out. Is this South Auckland or what? No. And
they just like beep their way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just beeping everywhere. And then you go to the hotel and it's just like all goods.
Yeah.
Has life for you just been like hotels, buses, and gyms?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for the last like month, it's been like that for sure.
Yeah. It's crazy, eh? What about like college life? College life would have been like that too, right? Or was it just dorm, school, gym, repeat?
Yeah, pretty much. And then like odd travel to another state. That was pretty much what it was like.
Man, that's crazy. We'll get into that later. Yeah. But I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
I mean, one of them, like I get it all the time. People are like, why don't you get some basketball people on? Like, you should get it all. Like, get this person, get Thomas Abercrombie, get this guy. And I'm like, no disrespect to Tom. And not really Tom. Tom's actually pretty interesting. These dudes are just like, basketball is like, did you ever feel like that? Like hanging around basketball, not just men, but females as well. Like, it's just like total tunnel vision and nothing else is around.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that sometimes too. But I've really noticed that, especially growing up. Like now I'm getting older. I'm like, man, basketball is just not the only thing in the world. Like shock, horror.
And then when you hang around people that's like they are, and they look at you, do they ever look at you like, hey, what do you mean? Like, not like you work hard, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes. I'm just like, man, I've got this podcast, I do this, I do that. And they're like, oh, why don't you, come out to this game or come and watch this? Nah, I don't want to anymore. I just don't want to. It's just, Anyway, let's get into high school ball, because I'm gonna skip primary and intermediate because you probably dominated then as well. Did you dominate intermediate?
No, I was awful.
I know.
My first shot was for the other team.
I heard about this story, and I was like, nah, not Penina.
For sure. I was awful.
Where did that happen?
We could skip that if we'd like.
That was at Trust Stadium, was it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was back when there was no girls like playing, so I had to join the boys teams.
Man, that's hard, eh?
Yeah.
How times have changed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Was it a big trip going to the States and seeing like the young kids? Because I went over, there was like hundreds of young female, like young girls, like training. I'm like,
yeah,
this never happens in New Zealand.
Nah, and just the amount of like girls wanting, like interested in actually just basketball by itself, like no netball, no nothing, just basketball was crazy.
Like that's what they're going to be doing, that they've got that goal, but you don't get that here, man.
Nah.
It's really
not during my time growing up. Maybe a little bit more now. But yeah, not when I was growing up.
I think the only reason that's like a thing now is because people like yourself kind of like drew up the blueprint to do it because there was no blueprint.
I hope so. I mean, I hope like some of the tall ferns, current tall ferns now, like in my age group, the ones above, and definitely the emerging ones. I'm kind of hoping we became a little bit of trailblazers because it was looking pretty sad when I was growing up.
Because who was before you?
I got like Jordan Hunter.
Yep.
Yeah, Chev's a few years older than me. Michaela Cox, I know she's like quite popular at Harbour. Those kind of names, the Purcells.
But did they go straight to D1 like you did?
I'm not sure actually.
I don't. Yeah,
I know the one that went straight D1, but like to a real good school. I don't think she finished. Was McCormack.
Oh yeah. What happened with her?
She quit. I'm pretty sure she was at UConn.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like the school to go to, and then
Man, I remember going to a national camp. And she was in the boys and girls, they did it, and they stayed at the dorms by AUT and on Akadanga Drive.
Oh yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
I fucking kid you not. She came out of a Mini Cooper, like she's like huge, and her mum dropped her off in a Mini Cooper, and I was like, and she was like legs like this in the back. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I thought it was a joke, but it was like serious. She was dope, man.
Yeah, she was a good baller. I remember hearing about her name when I was younger.
Yeah, she would kill everybody. She was way better than everyone else. But she did netball as well.
Yeah, I think she came back and played netball actually.
But I mean, that quitting thing was a legit thing, eh?
Yeah, that was like a real big thing that we were scared of, was going over and just wanting to come home and quitting, like you heard about it and it wasn't like uncommon to hear about girls just quitting.
All right, this is gonna, I think this is gonna happen for the whole interview, Penina. There's gonna be something that we're gonna start on and it's just gonna blop, 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 go into the universe, and then we're gonna be like, shit, what were we talking about again? Holy fuck, what was that again? No, it's high school ball. So was it enjoyable for you? Was high school basketball like let's be honest, was the whole ride like from year 9 to year 13 enjoyable for you?
Nah, I like wanted to quit at least every 3 business days for sure. And I was one of those like went to netball to try find some fun in basketball ones. Like, yeah, it was rough because it was just, I didn't realize why at the time, but there just was not opportunities quite like the rest of the world, so it just made it hard to love basketball, and it was just kind of the same. And that's not to fault anyone, it just is what it is in New Zealand.
Because you started off at St. Mary's, eh?
St. Cuths.
St. Cuths, that's what it was. So yeah. You guys were pretty good.
No, we weren't actually. We were Opens.
Yeah, and then you won Opens.
Yeah, because we had the Fitzpatrick's, Tuisulu and Teresa.
Yep.
So Tuisulu's in the Silver Ferns, I'm pretty sure, and Teresa's in the rugby team.
Okay.
I think so they were like legit athletes.
Yeah.
Savannah, Breeze, some of the names. And then we made our way into Prems.
And then
that was the last time St. Cuths was in Prems.
They've done all right though. They're coming. I know the dude that's kind of like helping them out, and he's all right.
Yeah.
But you don't have the horses in the race.
Nah, well, I'm gonna be honest. I could not last at that school. It was just racist as.
That's a big thing though. Like, I'm gonna say anything. I don't want to say anything with Saint at the start of it because there's probably some other ones. But like those elitist schools,
you
do that. And being from Samoan descent like yourself, like you would have seen that shit all the time.
Well, it was just more like the undercover ones. So, real short story, but so there's a scholarship for Polynesians, right? And I wasn't on that scholarship because my family could afford to go to St. Cuths, but that wasn't without people assuming that I was on the scholarship all the time.
Yeah.
And I had people be like, "Are you on scholarship?" Nah. But isn't your people on scholarship? Oh. I'm like, what do you mean people? Another one is a teacher stopped me. I was with all the other, like I went straight from one class to the other. Teacher stopped me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Walking to class." She's like, well, first of all, she went back up, locked the doors. And I'm like, man, I'm not going to steal anything. Like, whatever. Anyway, she's like, "Are you? What are you doing out here? Da-da-da, you should be a role model for your people." And I'm like, "What do you mean by people? Like, what is this? Your people?" Yeah. So I was just like, I got sick of the little subtle racist comments I just kept getting, and it was just like, you guys are all in a bubble, bro. Like,
Yo, that's crazy. Yo, and Penina, I know your mum, and I know you would have told your mum, and she would have straight up. Fuck, I can imagine her just.
Keyboard warrior, my mum.
No, she's not. She's tough in real life too. What are you talking about?
But it was like she got her little warrior fingers to work and sent a bomb email, and that was that with that school.
Fucking A. Well, that's it though. But like, there's heaps of schools like this that people just don't. Like, I'm gonna use King's for example, right? King's College is in Mangere. Like, it's in Otahu. It's in Mangere. It's in the hood. Like, it is in the hood. But this little tiny little place next to Middlemore Hospital has all these things, and then they give these handouts to these star rugby players and think that's enough.
No,
it's fucking bullshit. No,
and like I don't know. I just look. St. Cuth's might be really cool for some people. This is just my experience. I just didn't like the way being brown made me feel there. Like I was only being used as an athletic tool, and that was it. Like I couldn't just go to that school just to go to that school. It had to be like, oh, you on scholarship? Were you handed? And I was just like, what? Even if I was, like,
so you probably
nothing to do with my skin color. That's
at the time, though. At the time, being a young person, you probably like. How would you How did you? I don't want to say how did you react to it, but how does anybody react to that? You don't fucking know. It's like, is that racist? Like, you know what I mean?
It was a bit like that. It was just very confused. It was confusing for sure. Like, and then when you're talking about it to the other brown girls, it was like, was that racist? And then it was like, yeah. It was like, is that a reason we only band together and don't hang out with anyone else?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah.
Yes, actually, that's why we just because, it's just like a little the bubble thing is exactly what it is. It's that they live in this little contained privileged bubble. They don't know, It's crazy.
Well, it's beautiful and all, but I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that.
Well, I remember I was working at a school one time, and it was like quite upmarket. I was just there for a couple of days, and someone was complaining around their pool not being cleaned. It was like it was one of these ones, Penina. Like everyone had to go around and say like how their weekend was. I don't know what the fuck was going on, right? And I was the last one, eh? I was like, and then the lady next to me was like, I was really annoyed. I had a hard weekend because I couldn't get in the pool because it wasn't cleaned, and and the lady, and then it came to me, and I go, man, 2 houses on my street got home invasion the other day, and and I was just pulling out all the random like South Auckland was, and they looked at me like, oh my god, and I was just sitting there.
TV shows.
Fuck, I was stone cold face. Yeah, my friend got his house burgled while he was sitting there, and oh fuck, man, and just to see their faces, I was like, yeah, you fellas are too fucking privileged, man. Shit, I can imagine that was like you sitting in class.
I mean, like it's different because I was able to afford the school, like my family, was able to afford the school, but I definitely did see that mentality. And I found that hard, like I had girls who were coming to school driving in their Lexus, even I thought that was privilege, and I was able to afford the school, you know what I mean? So it's like, I definitely saw like the attitude and the privilege that, being at a school like that came with, and I did not like that. I did not like what some of them embodied, and it was just, I mean, not to like, I've met some amazing people from that school, but a lot, like.
But I think it also comes down to like their reflections of their parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, look, if we were to sit in a big circle and talk about our problems, I guarantee you my pool not being cleaned was not going to be one of them.
Like, this is what I mean, is like, those parents probably don't really value things like being humble and helping other people. They're just worrying about what's in their bubble,
Yeah, and that's not what I was brought up on. I mean, like I started off, we started off eating fish sticks for dinner, so it wasn't always like that.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But yeah, it was just different values. Like even for example, there was this camp that they did for a month. You went away for a month out of the school year just to go to some camp Kahanui where you did all these cool stuff. And I was like, man, even just to be able to take a whole month off and just not think about anything else was like crazy to me. That's like some crazy amount of privilege that you could just use a whole month off in the year. Like, wow.
Oh man, I've always been interested to know what like that kind of like schooling in those schools, because man, I came from like my school was like it's like one of the worst schools in New Zealand, and you know it was just normal for me. But then you know, I remember I got offered a job at St. Kentigern's to coach with Colin Driscoll, and I turned it down, man, because I was just like, I don't relate with these kids at all.
Yeah,
like they probably think I'm cool, and I'm like, oh yo, here's a funny story for you. Okay, I was sitting on the bench because I was on with your brother actually. So I was on a thing, and you know, I was talking with Nico, you know, who's from the hood, and I was talking to Ty and your bro and all this, and then I look around and I see, I'll say his name. I saw Matt Freeman staring at me like, is he like, how is he talking like this? Because I was like swearing at them like, man, fuck you, you piece of fucking, like I was going, and then like I was just like, I could see in Matt Freeman's eyes like, is this guy like Māori? Like, and if he's Māori, how can I speak like that? And I was just, and then he came over, he was like, bro, you're the man, bro. And I was like, nah, you just haven't seen people like me before.
Yeah.
I love Matt Freeman though, but shit, I could tell he was intrigued by somebody that's not brown but looks white but talks brown, because I think he was like, maybe I can do that.
But then, but then there comes that whole conversation of like, what does it even mean to act brown? Like what kind of box are you putting me in? Just saying I have to act a certain way, you know? And then if I don't talk brown, what does that make me? And it's like, why is there even characteristics with that?
Did you get that at your school?
Yeah, I mean, even just like I grew up. I went to Berkeley, and Berkeley's one of the most like liberal places in the planet, and it was just kind of like learning what it meant to be brown or what it means to be whatever. And I'm just learning I hate all of it, because it's like, don't chuck me in a box. Like you're already confining me, and especially when you're a minority, you're already confined to some like real BS stuff. So it's like to have that on top of all that is just crazy. Like just. I don't think that there should be ways of acting brown or acting whatever or talking. You know, like when you do a speech and someone's like, "Oh, you're really well spoken," and it's like, "Why? Because I'm brown?" Like,
fucking hell. I think like let's talk about like being a Pacific Island emerging athlete in New Zealand. This will be interesting because that was you know, like what was that like for? I mean, even at St. Cuth's, obviously, we could probably guess it was pretty fucked up. But then going to a school like Rangitoto, like, how was it? Like, did you, you know, I know obviously you didn't want to be in that box. Like, you're like, fuck that, I'm not like that. But what was it like?
Well, it's a loaded question. So there's this terminology I studied in Berkeley. It's called intersectionality. And it basically talks, it's not hierarchy, but it talks about the different parts of your life that intersect to make your life the way it is. So for example, I am a Polynesian, I'm Polynesian, so that's one. And then you add on top of like, I am a woman Samoan. So that's like two different intersections that create my life that would be different from someone who's say like poly and male, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So there's just like different categories that just kind of change bits of your life. So saying that, my life as like a woman Polynesian athlete was interesting because I wonder what it would have been like if I wasn't the athlete part, but people have that expectation that I'm poly. So they would have assumed, oh, you must be really good at sport. And it's like, what? Wait a minute. Like, what if I really wanted to become a scientist? Would that have happened? I don't know, because I was put into that athletic box because I was poly and, you know, had a build that was probably beneficial for sports, if that makes any sense. And looking back at it, I wish, you know, like when I was at St. Cuth's, I actually spent a lot of my lunchtimes in the library. And I kind of wish I'd stuck with the books, because I think a job outside of basketball might have taken me further than I am now. And I find that hard that we stick, we see poly builds as a young kid and we're like, oh, they must be really good at volleyball. Or like, look at those legs, they must know how to sprint. And like, man, they're going to be such a good tackler. Or like, and it's like, wait a minute, do they even want to do sport? Yeah. So that's just my little rant about being poly.
Because I think, I mean, like media too, I suppose like not really when you're in high school, but the other side of things is like the pressures that are expected upon you, you know what I mean? For being a Polynesian female athlete. Because, there isn't many, well, there are, but, when the ones that come through, they just, let's put them in the box,
Yeah, or like, let's just chuck them into the netball game or stuff like that. And like, that's why I love my parents. My parents did a great job of chucking other things outside of sport in my face. Like I was thrown into the piano like early on, hated it at the time, but now it's like, oh, thank you. Like you taught me other things outside of sport. Or, if I express interest in art, my dad was the first person to chuck a tablet in front of me and be like, all right, go draw. Just stuff like that. But it's like, not everyone gets that privilege to just explore other things because like their whole life by their parents, by friends, by school, they're told like, oh, you must be great at like touch or rugby. And, this poor like Polynesian kid is stuck into the sporting world before they even know they like it.
That's the thing too. And who feeds into those a lot is these coaches, man. Like these coaches, bro, these coaches at like under 11s, under 13s, man. And I have to put myself, like I was in that box at one time where I was like, nope, I come here to take I spend my time with you guys. Basketball is all you care about. And it wasn't until I became a father when I was just like, you know what? Just let them choose. And man, like this, I've seen some fucking horrendous shit, of like coaches just putting these unrealistic expectations on kids to be the next Steven Adams or the next Penina Davidson. And it's like, bro, let them be kids, bro. Like, Yeah,
100%. And like I've had a few parents actually ask me like, what do I do? Like how do I train my kid? And their kid's like 10 or something. And I'm like, first of all, make sure they like it.
Yeah.
Like training will come. I promise you that. And like you're gonna want the kid to want to train because that's when you get the actual good training in. But like you put this kid into like 3 trainings a day and they're just going through the motions, that's just wasted time.
And I think, that enjoyability of, that's why I did ask you. That's why I had that question not set up, but it was always like, I always wanted to ask you because you're not the only one too. Like I've talked with a lot of female basketball players and, I asked them like, is it thing? And they'll be like, no. And you could tell, like they won't say it at the time, like during high school. Like they won't say it, but I'll say, is it enjoyable? Are you having fun? And then some of them, yeah, of course. But you could see that they're not.
Nah, I mean, like my sister went through the same thing, and I just told her like one time, like, do you even like it? Like, why are you doing it? And you have to ask, why are you doing it? You're just doing it because you've been told that you should go to college, And that's why I said, like, I wish I learned way earlier that school's actually really cool because maybe I could have studied the books and become like a scientist or a doctor or something. But I don't know because my path was always like, you have to go to college. And then once college happened, I was like, dang, I wasted all my college years focused on the ball when I could have had all the school, And it's just like the amount of kids that are thrown into that, you have to like it because they're too scared to say otherwise is just real sad.
I think you see all these coaches like, these high performance coaches that have you fucking rolling fucking medicine balls across the courts and doing fucking 100 dribble moves. And it's like, bro, like that shit is not fucking relevant, but you're selling this dream to these kids,
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem is what these kids need to realize is it for sure is a dream. Look, I'm not going to say it's not a dream because I have a degree out of it. I've traveled the world out of it. Or like I've seen a lot of things from it. Whatever, it is a dream, but it comes with a lot. And that's what I don't think people are understanding is like, it's not just the dream. There's also multiple nightmares along the way.
And people don't realize that, like, I've seen some crazy shit. Like, like being in the basketball realm, I've seen some amazing athletes that just dwindle away because they just don't like it. I mean, Ella Futu is a perfect example. Okay. Athletically just awesome. She's just like, fuck, I don't like this high school shit, And then it took her going away and finding the love again for the game, and now she's back in it,
Yeah. But the cool thing is like now she's doing real awesome stuff with her environmental studies.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and it was like she got to take that time where she hated basketball to go find something else. You know, something that's gonna last outside of basketball. I'm not saying everyone should quit and whatever. I'm just like, there's other things outside of basketball. Like if basketball does not work out, do not worry.
Do you think that the RIP program works in New Zealand for female basketball players?
I can't speak on it now because my experience was way different.
Okay, well, sorry, I thought you were about to say like legally I'm not allowed to say anything.
No, I'll say whatever. But no, I can't because my experience was like my dad took my rep team, so I just had dad that was able to help out, and you know, like I was able to trust him, which I find most kids don't normally get, you know. And so I had a pretty good rep experience, and I don't think it's like that.
Was it hard moving, like having dad for your coach for the longest time, and then you know going on to another style of coaching?
No, he was quite hard on me, which was good, and it was hard to learn how to be coached by a woman because I always had a male perspective because I had Ake and my dad. So when I had women coaches for the first time, that was like a bit of a shock and difference. But apart from that, it was hard just being coached by dad because it's dad.
Yeah.
But no, I was pretty blessed with that early stuff.
Can I give you a good Greg story?
Sure.
Are you ready for this?
I'm getting prepared.
Okay. So your dad was coaching Rangitoto at the time. You know, he was doing his thing. Him and we were in camp. Fuck, here we go. We were in camp getting ready to go over and play Aussie in 3 games. And so for those that don't know, Greg is Penina's dad. And then we wanted to run. We needed a scrimmage. So he goes, oh yeah, I'll get a couple people in, you know, we'll get some boys in. He got some in, but they only had 4. So he was like, I'll jump in. And I was like, fuck. Anyway, these are big boys. This is Ty Wynyard. This is Hewitt. This is fucking Kane. All these ones, right? And then, so it was like 2 minutes into the fucking game, right? Hewitt gets a rebound, and I don't know why your dad did this, but he jammed up, right? Jammed the rebounder on the outlet. Okay, and Hewitt just elbowed his face. And I felt so sad for him, man. I was like, Hewitt, why did you do this? And he was like, oh, and Hewitt was like angry. I was like, yo, what are you so angry for, bro? You just fucking, this is your coach, G. And he's like, no, he was in my fucking space and da-da-da-da. I was like, and then we had to, then like we couldn't play the game because we only had 4 players.
Oh, way.
he went away, bro. His nose was all fucked up, man. I was like, damn, Greg, are you all right? And he's like, yeah, bro, I'm good. I can keep playing. His nose was like this. And I was like, fuck, bro. Like, I think you might have to go and get your nose sorted. And he's like, no, I'll be all good. And then I felt so bad for him. But he was a trooper, man. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, he's all right. The thing I love about Dad is he never did it for the money.
That's true. You know,
he didn't need it, so he didn't do it for the money. He did it because he cared. And you know, it might come across as quite odd or strange to some people, I know, but it's like you can't deny the man genuinely cared.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Every conversation, every time I see him, he always says what's up. He probably forgets my name. He doesn't know who the fuck I am, but he always says what's up. And then, you know, he always gives me the head nod. Hey. And then, but yeah, always that's my number one memory of your dad was just getting fucking smacked in the nose and blood everywhere. And then you were like, yeah, get out of my fucking way. And I'm like, bro, relax, G. He's like, relax. you know what Hewitt's like. He's a fucking. And then I was like, damn, bro. And then yeah, that was quite out of it. And then Jack Salt, because Jack Salt was on the team, and Jack was like,
oh, man, that's a while ago.
I know, this is going back. That was when we went to Knox and with Isaac, and we beat the Aussies once. We beat them. It was a 3-game series. We lost game 1 by a lot. Then we lost game 2 by 1 point.
Oh,
yeah. I think you were there. I think you came over.
Oh,
the girls were on. It was the girls one as well. And Tara fucking killed everyone.
No, I was too young.
No. I think you came over to watch. I think.
Oh, sick. Yeah, good on Teta. She's shaping up to be a real nice baller.
But yeah, so what's the craziest parent story you've ever seen or heard? I got a couple.
I'm not dropping names, but
don't drop names. Just one parent did this, and yeah.
Craziest parent story. I mean, I don't remember details. I just remember like parents were getting like fist fights and stuff. I know that over like their kid, and their kid's probably sitting at the end of the bench, like not even wanting to play. And these parents are like having a fist fight out in the reception. Like,
I've had being like a coach and being a selector, man. I've had like people find out where I live, man. Come to my house.
Oh yeah. I've had a parent who's like stalked my Instagram and like sent me a bunch of messages to try and like help fix their daughter and stuff like that. That's been pretty heavy, and like I'll get like the actual missed calls on the Instagram from them. I'm like, I need to help my daughter, and I'm like, oh man, like,
oh my gosh, what do they expect you to do?
Well, look I'm at like,
it and give you the like,
you'll be like this to me. No wonder your daughter's like struggling.
That's the first sign of that shit, eh?
Yeah.
When they start like, if the kid approached you and be like, hey, like, could you help me with my jump shot? Then I know you'd be like, oh, okay, sure. But it's the parent, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, go take your kid somewhere else. I don't think your kid wants to play basketball.
Oh, man. What was the high school nationals like for you?
Oh, I loved it. It was so great. But that was more from the social thing. And plus, like, Rangi was, like, most likely to be in at least the top 3, the very least back then. So that was always cool. I could just guarantee top 3 and then just a massive social setting. It was the life.
Yeah. What was that Fraser game like, eh?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah, not from a personal standpoint, like a game standpoint.
No, we were laughing about that the other day. We were like, what in the world were we doing as kids involved in a game like that?
Fuck. That shit went to court, man.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. It was stupid. But you know what, like, it really comes down to is the reffing.
I wasn't there, but I've heard.
Do you let it get like that? And the fact that we're talking about it years later is like, mate, that had to have been the worst ref game I can remember.
But we both know why the refs were like that.
Yeah, because they were scared.
Yeah, that's all it was, man. Straight up. Does that, and we won't drop names, but is that shit fucking, like, weird to you?
It's annoying. It's annoying because it's like I spent my childhood worried about crap like that when I could have been worrying about getting better, you know, and I didn't realize it at the time, but there are people around the world that were getting better and not having to worry about crap like that.
That's powerful, that one.
But it's true, and it comes down to adults not acting like adults acting like kids when kids needed the adults. And I sound mad, but it's like, yeah, because that hindered my like getting better. Like, who got better from that? Nobody.
No one.
Yeah.
The lawyers got better.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that's how far it got. Now, the people at home, we're not gonna dwell on that, but I had to bring that up because like hearing these stories, I just sit, but now like sitting back outside of the basketball arena, I just think, fuck, there's some out of it people in this world. Eh? Like, yeah. You know, and then to be able to, this is what I want. It's that cult-like mentality, you know, of somebody is up there, and these people kind of like worship this person, these people, and you're sitting back like, fucking why? Like, you know, that shit confuses me.
Yep, small world, small mentality.
Yeah. Anyway, moving forwards. What about like reps coming up? Like, who's some of the coaches that took you for? Oh, sorry, a national program coaches. Who's your first national program coach?
I want to say it might have been Sean. I don't remember anything prior to that. I got cut when I was 12 from the under-16s team. Bro, that was a ruthless interview. They had 3 letters. It was like, you made it, reserve, and you didn't. And the way they said, I like sat down, and I was real nervous because I was 12. And they're like, well, you're not getting these 2, so it must mean you're getting this one. And I was like, yeah, cool. Anyway, I got dropped then, and then I want to say it was Sean.
Sean.
I can't think of his last name.
Is it the ringer guy?
He's got a daughter, Dallas.
Dennis. Sean Dennis.
I was gonna say Dennis, but yeah.
He's in Japan, eh? That dude?
Is he now? Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think it was Sean Dennis.
Sean Dennis, yeah, it's Sean Dennis.
It is?
He was in Townsville. He did the NBL. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sean Dennis. Are you sure?
No, the one I'm thinking of is a Māori dude.
Oh, okay. Oh, us.
Yeah. But no, I liked him. He was really cool to me. And then after that, I think it was Ake. Ake was for a lot of them. I had Brett Goebel. I had Brent. Yeah.
Man, Brett Goebel. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Look at that shit, eh? That shit. That's Paris's dad, though.
Yeah.
Like, god damn. Oh, you've gone off for a bit. I don't know what happened. There we go. Yeah, man. Like, because I know Brett from way back. Because Brett actually, like, created the WBC.
Yeah. He was real awesome, especially, considering his daughter doesn't play basketball. I can always appreciate someone that took the time to invest in us, and then we have a whole league out of it.
And now, like, and his daughter's, like, slaying it all over the world, man.
Yeah, she's killing it. She's so killing it.
Yeah. And then, like, what's like some highlights from your, like, national team career type thing?
Oh, honestly, well, it was winning one of the tournaments for the first time after. It was like when Guy came in, and we won the whole tournament, and that was like quadruple the amount of wins I had in 1 week in my whole career. There was also the whole Europe trip was just so cool, just because I got to see Europe and then hearing the national anthem.
Yeah, that's always one. What was that? Sorry?
Playing at home. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Was that the one? Oh yeah, I remember that one too. That was at North Shore Event Center.
Yeah.
I remember that one. Yeah, my first, like, and obviously not as an athlete, but as a coach, the first time that I stood up and I was standing there and the national anthem was playing, I was like, holy shit, like, you kind of buzz out, like, fucking hell, there's millions of people in New Zealand, and I was very lucky that I could stand and represent my country. And a lot of people kind of like don't really, you gotta. It's one of those times where you just like you buzz out and then you smell the roses for a little bit, and then it's fucking into whatever.
Yeah, but also, like, I didn't realize till recently again that not many people have the privilege of just being able to be proud of their national anthem. Like, I have some American friends that aren't proud of it. So the fact that I can, like, tear up in my national anthem and feel pretty proud of being a New Zealander is special.
Do you think why do you think the WBC, or not the WBC, but why do Aussies do it, like, basketball so much better than us?
Well, they're however much bigger than us as well, so they just have so much to choose from. Which I think that's really, like, look at the countries that do succeed. It's the bigger countries, the ones with more money, the ones with way more people to select from, way more coaches to select from, all of that.
Do you see that? Like, are they more? I think they're a lot more organized than we are.
Yeah, and that comes down to money. They have the money to afford people for the right job, and et cetera, et cetera.
Because, man, you go, like, I remember going on a tour in Melbourne, and it was just like there was just little gyms everywhere.
Yep.
It's not. That's not in New Zealand. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
3.
I don't know how big it is, like, compared, but Australia is just massive compared to New Zealand. And then you take that, there's just so much more to choose from.
Because I think, so WBC in New Zealand, do you believe that they're doing a great job? Like, so WBC is our New Zealand WNBL. Like, do you think that the coverage is improving, or what do you reckon?
Last year it was. Yep. Last year, for sure, it was. Last year was one of the biggest strides we've taken since WBC started.
Because
positive direction when it came to coverage.
Well, I mean, there's from nothing to something is always going to be a massive.
Yeah, always. But last year was definitely by far the biggest improvement.
I think, I agree. I think, what do you think I'm not just going to be straight up, though. Like, females in sport get a really bad, what's the word? They just people just overlook them, and I think it's fucking bullshit. Like, and I said this to you before, the WBC final between you guys and the Dream was probably disregarding any gender was the best game I saw all year.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I mean, I have a lot to say about this stuff, and like, I can pull out a few examples. One of them, so my friend runs a woman's sports highlight page, and it's called Highlight Her on Instagram, and it's got like 72,000 followers, something like that. Like she's got the page popping, and it's like it's done through. It's legit. Like I think it's got the blue check, everything. It's legit.
Yo.
Anyway, she posts just like real dope videos of just women just being beasts in their sport. And because she's a basketball commentator for the WNBA, a lot of it's basketball. And the amount of comments I see from men, I haven't really seen some from girls or women, but men, boys, whatever, just absolutely like, I won't cuss, but like just the most horrendous comments I've seen on that page is just so disheartening. And that's just like a small example of what it's like to be a woman's athlete on like social media. So it's just like, if you take into account just how much slander we get on an innocent highlighting woman page, you can imagine what it's like in the real world, or what it's like just anywhere, like you look at a WNBA highlight and it's just men slandering us. Just comment after comment. And the worst part is it's not even original or funny.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was maybe funny back in the day, but it's like, man, you've been making the same jokes for like however many years now. Like, bruh, you guys are all making the same joke. And it's just sad. Like, they can't even celebrate women just playing basketball. You have to like slander it.
I think like the internet in itself is full of little cowards. Like, they would never say that in real life. But man, if it's not going to, if it's not going to affect me, I'm not going to speak on it. And that's what kind of gets me too, is I've seen them too. And I see it on the ESPN pages. I see it on like everything. Yeah. But there are like, and I think like, Kobe did a massive thing, before his passing. And then you see all these NBA players with the orange hoodies and stuff like that. But like, there's a lot more they could have done. There's a lot more they can do apart from wearing a fucking orange hoodie and thinking it's all good and I've done my part,
Well, there's two sides of me with that. And it's funny you bring up Kobe because, like, RIP and, like, that man, he did a lot for women's basketball, and I can be definitely grateful for, his attention towards women's basketball. But I have to ask the question, do you think we would have got that same attention from Kobe if he didn't have a daughter?
That's true.
And, like, we kind of aren't in a place where we can argue where we get the attention, because honestly, it's just so beneath the floor. It's like, we'll just be grateful for any attention. But you have to ask, like, are these men, would they even care if they didn't have daughters? Or is it because they have daughters now, they're like, oh, I suddenly see what it's like to be a woman. And it's like, man, screw that. Like, I've been on this earth with you this whole time, and now you're seeing because you have a daughter of your own. Like, you never hear, oh, yeah, a woman started caring because she had a son. You never hear that.
That's true.
But I hear all the time, I only started caring about women when I had a daughter myself, when I realized. And it's like, what? Not all men are going to have daughters. So, like, what? They're just not going to care? I'm not saying this about all men, but more often than not, like, like Kobe happened because Gigi happened.
The other thing, too, is,
and I wonder,
before they had daughters, they had wives, yo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, they could have been doing that same thing, and it's really messed up. Like, and it's a societal thing. You know, like, it's a societal thing, but I think, this slander bullshit that's on the internet is just
it's
crazy.
So like, sometimes we can laugh about it, but sometimes it like genuinely hurts, because it's like we're just doing innocent stuff like playing basketball, and they really feel the need to go out their way. And the problem is, it's not just one or two people. It's like thousands and hundreds, and just like so many boys just come in to slander women. And it's like, you just really hate women. Like, it's got nothing to do with the sport at this point. You just really hate women.
What's like, what was it like at college though? Was it like that?
College was amazing because like, they love women's basketball in America, and I mean, it comes with the hate, but they have super fans for women's basketball over there.
why don't we have that shit? Not in like just in Australasia, like I mean, just in New Zealand as a whole. And this, I mean, that's a massive question to answer. But I mean, netball comes into play, and the tall poppy syndrome that we have in New Zealand comes into play. Mm-hmm. There's so many intangible things that just ruin it for young females that want to play sport,
Yeah, well, I mean, the Auckland Ballers page, like they're amazing. They definitely support the women's basketball game and all that kind of stuff. But I remember they posted a video of Mary Golding, and all she was doing was just dancing and training. Like that was it. It was as basic as that. And like even that got like 3 or 4 different comments of some dude talking about like, oh, I'll waste her in a game of 1-on-1. And it's like, bro,
Step up then.
Like, but it's like, bro, you probably benched in your social league, like, and you feel the need to like it's just so weird. And that's just like a tiny example of what women face in these social media pages.
Yeah. And the other thing that gets me really, and I mean, like people need to step up, like not like male athletes and just males in general just need to step it up and go, bro, that shit's not cool, man. The best thing to do is just write dry, and then, that's the easiest way to do it. But there needs to be more kind of like, yo, that shit's just not on, B.
I tried to do that once on my friend's page, and man, the comments that like they were slandering me, and they were like doing their research about me, and I was like, oh man, I'm never doing this again. But like, it's just crazy. Like they really be coming for the women, and it's like it's disguised hiding behind the sport, but it's like, nah, you take away the sport, like you just straight up hate women. That's all it is.
Mother issues going on.
Yeah, you're just using sport to like hate on the women, but it's like I see right through you, like.
Fuck. I think like, I mean, once there's, I think the media, like people like Auckland Ballers who do a great job, just keeping, just pushing. I mean, I see Justine's page on Facebook, and man, that lady works so hard for that stuff, and she brings out all the new stuff and these athletes that we didn't even know about that are in the JUCO system from New Zealand, and it's really fucking buzzy, man.
Yeah.
But we need more people. We need more fighters like that.
Yeah. I mean, just, and I love the girl dads, and I love all the, like I really appreciate any support from men and women that we get, because we just we're not in a position to be choosers, but it would just be nice to have a man care about women's basketball because they care about women.
Yeah.
Not because they have some connection to a woman that made them see the light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was weird. It's actually quite funny because I coach boys to start off with, right? And then when Jody asked me to come over and help her with the JTFs, I said, yeah, of course. And then I even got comments then like, I thought you only coach boys. It's like, how the fuck is it any different? Like, I get the athleticism side of things. That's cool, but it's actually like for me, it's easier to coach girls because they're more fundamentally. They do exactly what you ask. Like it's like, I need you to go down there. They don't try to fucking 3 crossovers and boom. They just do exactly what you ask. Not the boys. They're fucking too much ego.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is the difference, I think, between coaching women and men is one, I think it comes down to like men can dunk. And it's just like, okay, yeah, so you got the athletic side, whatever. But it's the coaching of egos. Like I think for men, you have to coach their egos, but for women, you have to build up their egos because they've just been counted out for so long, and that's just so sad.
Wow, that's powerful too, yo. That's a powerful comment right there. Man, look at you. You need to write a book, Penina. Shit, come on.
A Davidson book,
just like quotes. Man, so like. Because there wasn't anybody, and we said that before, there was no one coming out of college before you. Like, there was, but it wasn't like that one. You were the first one I knew that was like, yo, I'm just gonna, let's go. And you did so, like, it was awesome that you know, and I believe that you broke a lot of boundaries and you blazed a lot of trails in that pathway. Because, like what we talked about before, there was some going, but like it wasn't documented like your one was because you went straight to a D1. How did the whole college process happen for you?
Like I said before, I was extremely privileged to have parents who who might not have known what they were doing, but made it their effort to try and figure it out. And they just put me on a plane and chucked me into a Stanford camp. And the fact that I was able to have that opened up a whole new pathway that not many other girls got to have. So I was just right in front of the Stanford coaches, and then they liked what they saw and asked me if I wanted to play for Stanford, and I was like, I'd love to. They told me I had to hit a certain grade in the SATs. I did end up hitting the certain grade after a long summer of studying for the SAT, but my grades weren't good enough, so I didn't make Stanford, and they lobbed me over to Cal, and I was just blessed that Cal, were able to take me in, and the rest was history.
So what was the I mean, you did 4 years there, correct?
Yeah.
What was your 4 years like there?
It was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I always say it's like a petri dish, like it's dirty as, because it was like these 18 to 22-year-olds just trying to figure out what their spot in the world is like. And that's messy, especially when you chuck them all together in one big area. It was messy but beautiful at the same time, because I was in one of the most beautiful campuses in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the #1 public university in the world. So it's like insane that I was living there for 4 years and trying to figure out my spot.
Because I think we see it on TV, right? You see it on the movies or the frat parties and shit like that. And a lot of that stuff is kind of like, it depends on where you go though. But I mean, Cal Berkeley's quite like, it's a very, very nice establishment. Yeah. Was that shit like, did you ever go, was there ever a moment where you were walking, you're like, fuck, that looks like that reminds me of this movie or something like that?
Yeah. All the time. I used to say it was like living on a movie set for sure. All of it. Like I felt like my life was a TV show, which looking back on it, I can appreciate. But at the time, I think I was a bit too young to kind of appreciate it in its full capacity.
Did you ever go to Oakland?
I did.
Did you go there? Throw it up, man, because I heard that place is gangster.
It's beautiful. Like Berkeley, Oakland, San Fran, all of it is just beautiful, and I want to go back so bad so I can finally appreciate it. Now I'm older.
Yeah, because it would have been like those 4 years would have just gone crazy, like quick too.
Yeah, it did. And it went too fast for me to catch my feet. So it took me 2 years after I graduated to finally kind of comprehend what I just went through.
Because, far out, going there as a student athlete, there's certain demands, correct?
Yeah. Real tough. And the like you said, student athlete, right? Which is crazy because my athlete life is going to finish long before my student life will. So it was hard to put athlete first when I feel like I should have put student first, because at the end of the day, it is just a ball. And yes, the ball brings you a lot of stuff and important stuff and, lots of amazing things, but it is just a ball and the ball will stop bouncing one day. So I think what I should have done is just gone to a place like Berkeley. I needed to just get into every classroom I possibly could have, and I didn't because I was so consumed with this athlete student life.
That balance would have been so hard, man, being a 18, 19, 20-year-old and just being far out, man, it would have been tough.
It got to a point where even after I graduated, I still have dreams to this day of missing exams or missing class. Wow. Because that's what my life was like. And it got to a point where I didn't actually know what to do with my day because I wasn't used to doing it by myself. I was used to following a schedule someone else had made for me.
Yeah. Where
every hour was consumed by something.
So was that so you had keepers pretty much, right? That would kind of put you into the, this is where you're supposed to be and things like that?
Yeah, we had calendars where it was you have tutoring at 8, you have class from 10 to 1, you have training from 3 to 6, you have tutoring after. And then it took me a long time to actually eat dinner sitting down because I was so used to eating dinner or lunch, moving from class to practice or practice to class or something. So I was used to just eating on the go.
Wow.
And then the day I actually had to sit down, I was like, you don't have to eat it in 10 minutes flat, you can breathe.
That would have been, because, man, you'd have to always be on the go. Like it's like
Yeah.
get here, get there, get there. Because I've seen like schedules from college kids, and it's like 6 a.m, get up and lift. It was, and every hour is accounted for because they're pumping so much money into the scholarship. So they're just like, yo, you need to do all this, or else we're gonna take it away. Like, yeah.
And that's not even to like take into account how much money ESPN was making off us. So it's a massive money making industry. So there's a lot that has to go back into it.
What's your thoughts on that then, on the NCAA with their rights to money and making money off these young kids?
Nah, absolutely not. Like unless NCAA is paying for our scholarships, which they're not, then nah. Like, I'm sorry, that's my face that's going to be used by them for the next however many years they decide. And like, I'm too young to even know what that, like the weight of that even means. And the fact that I'm not getting a dime from that, like from the ESPN and all that is just crazy because it's like, that's my face, bro. And you're using it whenever, however you'd like.
Anywhere else, like, any other job, you could take them away. You can say, no, that's my copyright or but because you've kind of signed on for all these, it's a really messed up, like, not organization, but even, I suppose, organization. They've had a lot of kind of like bugs leak out around how fucking corrupt they are.
Yeah, and you can get away with it because, that the subjects are all too young to really care or like be important enough to make a really big deal about it.
What about like on campus, like all the stores and stuff like selling? Did they have female? Did they have the women's like shirts and stuff up?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they do. I kind of like the campus stuff because it does create like a cool homey campus feel. It was just the ESPN, like the big money makers, where it's like, man, you guys are already making this crazy amount of money. Like, what you need to rip us all off for?
What's the craziest building you've been into to play, like in the college scene?
Oh, UConn for sure.
And what was that like? Playing against Gino and all that?
Yeah, I mean, look, they were dominant for that long for a reason, and just to walk into a gym, like you could feel it. It was like that gym was just breeding champions only.
Far out, man. Who was in that team when you played them? Do you remember?
No, I can't remember. I can see their faces. I just can't remember their names. Yeah. It was the year that they lost the semi, but it was their dominant years. Like, I'd still say they were dominant for winning as much as they did.
Bro, like, they've been dominant for, like, how long? Like, they just keep pushing out. So since Sue Bird, man. Like, it's just one after the other after the other. And it's like, holy shit. But, it's cool that there's underdogs that kind of, when they do get beaten, everyone's like, oh, snap, they're not in the finals this year? Like, shit.
Yeah. And that was cool, yeah.
Where's the furthest that you guys got?
We only got to round 2, which, shouldn't have happened considering, like, we had some crazy talent in our team. We had 4, 5, 6 WNBA players in my time there.
Shit.
So we should have gone way further than round 2.
What happened then? Was it just the upset? March Madness?
Like I said before, you had a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds just not knowing what they were doing.
Well, that's legit, that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, during your time in UC Berkeley, it was it was a time for you to kind of like, just leave me, Penina, all goods. I don't even want to interview you anyway. Nah. Just gap it then. Sweet, all goods. No, the kind of like you kind of like learned about yourself quite a lot as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's it.
Because you did so the next question I have is how many dream catchers did you buy?
I had them hanging on my ceiling. It was so cool. I actually thought about that. I was going to buy some more. I had about 5, but they were like real big pieces too.
The expensive ones.
Yeah. I didn't think about that at the time.
So like that's why I wanted to move forwards with is like mental health and things like that. Like so you've got diagnosed with bipolar while you were there, is correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that like being so far away from home, and only having people that you kind of know a little bit, but not a lot, not like your family. And, like, man, that would have been like a really kind of like vulnerable time where you just like unsure,
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
It was very trying. It was actually a lot of things. I won't say it was completely negative because it wasn't. Like at one, I got to finally understand, like, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Let's finally get somewhere. Two, it forced me to find some friends and family out there, Like I don't like that mentality, me against the world, because it's like, come on, man. Like, it's just you swinging in a dark room by yourself. Like, nah. So it forced me to get out of that whole I'm so alone mentality. And so like with that, all that being said, it was hard. I mean, like I go back to saying the 18 to 22, but it was like I was young, man. I was young with these confusing ass feelings of like real serious morbid stuff,
Yeah.
And it's cool because it gives me the outlook that I have, to this day. It was real tough.
Was it like a relief to find out that like there's actually something that like
Yeah.
what I'm doing is there's actually something for it, like,
Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and put it all on, the mental health stuff because, like I'd like to say some of it is a choice. And, that's coming from someone that was diagnosed with something that wasn't my choice. So it was a relief to know that I'm facing something that was outside of my control. And from there on, figuring out what that means and how to navigate it was all like pretty much an experiment, which isn't always bad.
Because with bipolar, there's two sides to it, right? There's the depression side, and then there's the manic side, right? The mania side.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then there's two types. If I'm off the top of my head, there's two types of bipolar. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. And bipolar 2 is like when it happens a lot. Am I on the right track here? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. One's more severe than the other,
When's the first time you figured out, like, when's the first time you could think back to a time that you're like, fuck, actually, that might have been that time I was up fucking, at 3 o'clock in the morning? Like, when was the first time you can remember?
High school. I remember I said to my friend, I was like, man, I could, like people say, oh, I'm so bipolar. I was like, nah, I really think I got something going on. Because just I figured out because I was like, the way I was dealing with things just wasn't normal. And I wanted to say normal because it just was like not healthy. And I was just like, yeah. And then it finally came to a head in college, and it was just like the biggest relief because I was like, thank goodness, like I already suspected, but finally, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I know, and that was like a cool saying back in the day, Oh, I'm so bipolar. But like actually, like it's not cool to kind of like normalize it as being like, oh yeah, I'm so bipolar. I used to say it all the time about the weather. I was like, man, the weather's so bipolar, and like that seemed really cool for me to say. But now I'm like, actually, that's not cool for me to say. But it's a serious fucking thing, eh? Like it's not like it's not a joke. It's like,
no, so it's no joke at all. And the problem is, I play a sport that already has such intense highs and lows. So dealing with a sport that has highs and lows, battling my own, can be pretty hectic sometimes. It's like Clash of the Titans at best. But yeah.
So with those mania episodes where you're just always on and you feel like you're on Red Bulls and you're just fucking going hard out, like cleaning at 4 o'clock in the morning, like going at it, it comes the opposite side, which is the lows and stuff like that. Do you remember, your first kind of like in like time where you're just like, fuck, like, why am I feeling like this? Like, I'm feeling really down.
I had multiple moments where I'm like, why am I feeling like this? But then I don't like that whole why am I? Because it's just like, man, you've been dealt it. Like, so figure it out. And like, that sounds real harsh, but it's like, no, like, this is it. I can't spend my time saying why not or like, why this, when it's like, let's just figure out how. And one of the times though, I do remember feeling like that was I don't know. There was a whole bunch of things that led to something, and then next thing you know, I wasn't living in the apartment I was living in, and I luckily had a friend who could offer me, like a single room with her partner, her two grown pit bulls, and me. And we were just living in this room, and I didn't have any money, so I was, just scraping by to buy pizzas that I could maybe like chuck in the freezer and reheat for later, or like whatever. They finally found me a room. I was on the 8th floor, one elevator, and I had to walk up a couple times because the elevator, is janky. And I was on a bunk bed, and I remember looking out, and I was just feeling low. Like that point was just low. I had cuts on my arm that weren't healing, whatever. And I was lying on my bunk bed, like, man, what the heck? Like,
Yeah.
what happened? And the sun was setting on San Fran City, and I could see it. And I remember just having this moment where I was like, I felt so low, but it was like, okay, it's a choice. Like yes, this and this led to that, and I feel awful, but it's a choice, Like I had a moment to look at the sunset and be like, that is the 1% of my day. It just like transformed my whole crappy day. And ever since then, I've just been trying to live with that macho, like whether it is the highs or it is the lows, I'm just going to try and make it a choice, to look outside.
Is it like I consider, because I'm not bipolar, so like I don't have anything like that, and everything's quite new. But what would be the best way to, I don't want to say consult, because I don't think that's what it is. But when you have somebody that is going through those lows, like what's like important to remember when you're approaching those people?
Depends on the phase that they're in, because different phases mean different things. Like when they're high, they could be susceptible to and people experience the highs and lows differently. So it kind of comes down to the person. I'll retract what I was going to say before and say boundaries. You need to know boundaries. Like, what are the boundaries, and what are the boundaries when they are the two different people? So my boundaries when I'm high might be very different from when I'm low. For example, when I'm high, I might try to stay away from the extra coffee. So if someone can catch me and be like, hey, you don't need that extra coffee, don't. But when I'm low, I might need that extra coffee, and someone might need to just let me have the 5th coffee of the day.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. So I think it just comes down to who it is. Like, you have to have some kind of understanding of their personality and how it fits with their boundaries.
It comes down to rapport, correct? Like having a rapport with that person to tell you.
Yeah.
Like it's not just anybody. Like, it has to be somebody that you know and that you trust.
With the heavy stuff, sometimes, because like when I'm high, I'm not going to want to hear from just any random person about myself. That's because I'm high, and I'm probably not like, in the frame of mind to even be like receiving of the advice, even though it's good for me. So it's just like, like you have to, it comes down to the person and the boundaries that they've set or you've established.
I think like there's a massive misunderstanding around what bipolar is and what depression is, especially in New Zealand, because New Zealand just has this, oh, you'll be all good attitude, like, fucking harden up, that kind of attitude. And it's never going to go away, I reckon, like straight up.
Nah, I hate it. And you know what I hate more is it's so bad for our men. So bad for our men. At least the women are talking about it, but for our men, it's just like, man, you guys already have so much bullcrap, like toxic masculine mentality about how to act like a macho man and what it means to be the strong macho man. And it's like, there's no room for anything sensitive or anything delicate because of that. So to bring mental health into that is just a whole new beast, which I just, and like what I was talking about, the intersectionality stuff before, you have our poly men who have it different from a white man. And they've got a whole bunch of unrealistic expectations that they've been told being poly, not even a man, where mental health isn't allowed to be talked about. So
it's like I was reading, I can't remember if I read it. I was reading this article around why Polynesian men not find it so hard, but why there's a spike in there, and it comes down to the genealogy, like because not so long ago, like we're talking early 40s, 50s. They pretty much went to Samoa, Tonga, wherever, and snatched all these people up just to come and work in the factories.
Yeah.
And then because they're used to providing for their ainga, that's what they're about, right? And then they come to New Zealand, and the white man is like, well, actually, you work for me for $13 an hour, and we'll give you, and not being equals, and it comes down to that inner, like, on the islands, we provide for our wahine, we provide for everything, but like, and then they come here and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then if they cannot do that, like, then that's when the failure really sets in, because they're failing their inner, instincts to things. Whereas the Europeans have kind of like, it's still in there, but they kind of had a lot of things handed to them.
Yeah, and then it like, like what you're saying before, and we instantly equate like failure with being inadequate, and it's just like, it's not the same. Like, just because you failed, and it's like, well, how is it even a failure? Because you're not doing what, like, hundreds of years before you has narrated for you. And it's like, well, why is my story from like my ancestors' stories from back in the day defining my story now? And yes, and to some degree it definitely should, but not in the embodiment of, what it means to be a man. And I can't speak on what it means to be a man, because I am not one, and I will not do that for the men. But I don't like how, because their ancestors weren't allowed to talk about their feelings, the men now can't.
Well, I think there's also studies that show that, like, that tall poppy syndrome stuff.
Yeah,
it kind of came from it was the lumberjackers back in, like the people that came over to cut trees, and then the Great Depression happened and everyone died. Not everyone died, but people were dying in New Zealand. And then the lumberjackers were like, "Oh, we'll be right. We need to," and you got to be tough. You got to be tough then. And there was no more jobs because everyone during the Great Depression. So they went out and they were doing lumberjack stuff, and it was that culture that they brought over, which was, fuck, you got to fucking hurry up. We've got to cut trees, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's a lot of unlearning that we're going to have to do now, and like, that's the other thing, that saying, sorry, I was just looking at the time. I do have to leave in 2 minutes because I have a meeting.
Okay.
But it goes to that saying, like, it's funny and it's put in memes, and I've laughed at my fair share, of the men ain't, I don't like cussing on stuff, but like, men ain't S.
Shit. And the men ain't shit. I'll say it for you.
I used to laugh at that stuff all the time, but I stopped saying it because it was like, you know what? Like, men already have it in them that they're not allowed to be this, they're not allowed to be that, they're not allowed to express feelings of not being, whatever. Why should I add to it by saying something like that? And then it came down to, how can I expect the men to want to believe in me and my career and my sport when I'm out here saying something like that?
That's right. Yeah, we got to be
especially poly men.
It's about being part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Well, it was also like, it's the energy I put out. I can't be out here talking about men ain't whatever, and then expecting them in the same breath being like, hey, why aren't you supporting women's basketball?
Yeah, true.
Why would you? I'm out here talking about men ain't S. Like,
yeah. Anyway, thanks for letting me know that you had to go. Shit.
Yeah, sorry. I just
we were getting into it. We'll get to some beefy conversations we were having.
It was good, eh?
I know. See, I told you. I said this is going to be shit. And then I sent you. Remember, I sent you like podcasts. I was like, this was a hard listen, Penina. I'm not gonna lie. And you're like, why? What did I do? And I was like, man, I don't know, Penina, but you're dealing with the best right now. Okay, but anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you so much, Penina. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're coming back again. When you have more than just a couple of minutes, we'll get you back on and we'll finish this convo.
Yeah, sounds good.
Head off to your meeting. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, keep going hard, man. I'm following what you're up to. Man, your team is stacked, man.
Oh, we're good.
Should be smacking everyone.
Painfully good. Yeah.
You got Izzy on your team? God damn.
I know. So good.
And can you just tell Elizabeth Cambage I'm just to check her DMs because I've slid in a few times. Oh no, don't tell her that. She'll probably beat the shit out of me. Jesus Christ. All right. Take care, eh?
Yeah, you too.
All right, see ya.